It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
Something strange happened overnight. Without a press release, without a tweet, without even a warning, The Last of Us vanished from HBO's streaming library. One of the most talked about shows of the last decade, gone.
The Last of Us was plagued by complaints of bad casting. And The Last of Us 2 is not faring much better.
It's a completely different show this season. And everything's fine.
You are...
And the internet? It didn't take long to notice. Social media lit up with confusion, frustration, and suspicion. Was it a licensing issue? A glitch? Maybe a quiet server update? But then the speculation turned darker. Fans began asking questions no one at HBO seemed willing to answer. Why this show? Why now? And why, after everything, was Bella Ramsey suddenly trending for all the wrong reasons?
We just had to not like each other for a bit.
You had to not like me, which came easy.
So easy.
Overnight, the star who once carried a beloved character through the apocalypse found themselves in the middle of a very real-world breakdown. Not in the story, but in their own life. And what triggered it might be far worse than anyone expected.
Ellie's super smart. What? Characterization of Ellie being dumb is weird.
This isn't just a story about a show being removed. This is about a studio silently distancing itself from controversy, about fans turning on the very person they once cheered for, and about an actor pushed to their emotional limit in front of the world. So what really happened? Why did HBO pull the plug? And did Bella Ramsey really lose everything in just one season? It started quietly. Fans searching for The Last of Us on HBO Max were met with something odd. No thumbnails, no continue watching bar, just gone. Within hours, Reddit threads popped up, first asking simple questions like, is this a glitch? Or did the show move to another platform? But the answers weren't coming. HBO stayed silent, and that silence, it spoke volumes. By midday, X, formerly Twitter, was flooded with screenshots, theories, and memes. A viral tweet with over 100,000 likes simply said, wait, did HBO just pull The Last of Us? No way this is about Bella Ramsey. And that's when the narrative began to shift. What started as confusion turned into collective suspicion. Fans remembered how rocky the reception had been to Season 2. They remembered the criticism, the uncomfortable reviews, and the tension between viewers and showrunners. Suddenly, it all felt connected. Some users even claimed they saw edits in their watch list days before the takedown, as if HBO was scrubbing the show's presence gradually. Soft deletion, some called it. Others labeled it content cleansing. One Reddit user wrote, "This has Warner Brothers damage control written all over it. They're trying to erase the backlash, bury it before it gets worse." But why would HBO go to such lengths? Why would they pull a flagship series instead of releasing a statement or doubling down on the brand? That's when the finger-pointing truly began. And at the center of the target, Bella Ramsey. Let's rewind. When Season 2 of The Last of Us dropped, it came with sky-high expectations. The first season was a cultural reset. Critics loved it, fans obsessed over it, and Bella Ramsey was hailed as a breakout star. But Season 2, that was a different story. The tone was darker, the pacing shifted, and more than anything, Bella's performance became polarizing. Harsh critics said she lacked emotional depth. Others said she was trying too hard or forcing intensity. Reaction videos on YouTube blew up overnight. Some titled, "Why Bella Ramsey Doesn't Work as Ellie Anymore." Others just outright called her miscast. It didn't help that Episode 3 was especially controversial. An emotionally heavy plot twist fell flat for many viewers, and unfortunately, Bella took the heat. The comment sections were savage, cringe, unwatchable, career-ending. The words weren't just criticism, they were personal attacks. Worse still, the backlash wasn't just coming from casual fans. A few anonymous posts on industry forums, allegedly from production crew members, hinted at issues on set. One post claimed Bella had become increasingly difficult and emotionally fragile during filming. Another suggested showrunners were forced forced to scale back certain scenes due to performance concerns. Whether those claims were true or not didn't matter. The internet treated them like gospel. As the episodes aired, the ratings started to dip. Rotten Tomatoes showed a steep divide. Critics still offered praise, but audience scores plummeted. Then came the memes, TikToks roasting dramatic scenes, spliced with awkward facial expressions, reaction clips of YouTubers visibly cringing during emotional moments. It was a digital feeding frenzy, and Bella was the main course. At one point, a YouTuber with nearly 2 million subscribers released a 20-minute deep dive explaining how Bella lost the audience and why Season 2 was the beginning of the end for the franchise. It gained over 1 million views in under 24 hours. So, when The Last of Us suddenly disappeared from HBO's library, fans didn't just suspect Bella might be involved. They were convinced of it. And for Bella, the silence from HBO was more than just unsettling. It felt like abandonment, but things were only going to get worse. What started as online chatter quickly turned into a full-blown firestorm. As the removal of The Last of Us gained traction, entertainment outlets began digging. Some quietly reached out to HBO for comment. None got a response. No press release, no social post, nothing. That silence only poured gasoline on the fire. If HBO wasn't willing to defend its own show, were they throwing someone under the bus? Then came the so-called insider leaks. Unverified, of course, but they hit like bombs. One viral post from a known industry whistleblower claimed that HBO's execs were deeply concerned about how Season 2 had performed, particularly Bella's reception. The post described internal meetings where terms like brand damage and loss of franchise value were allegedly used. Another report said Warner Brothers had even considered shelving the show indefinitely until the heat fade away. Whether real or not, the damage was done. Fans began turning against Bella, and fast. Comment sections across YouTube, TikTok, and X turned vicious. She should have never been cast, one person wrote. She tanked the franchise, and HBO knows it. Others claimed Bella was removed internally, citing past casting controversies as evidence she was always a risky choice. Theories spiraled out of control. Was this HBO's way of cutting ties without public fallout? Was Bella being quietly pushed out? Petitions began circulating. One demanded HBO bring back the show without Bella. Another pushed for a full reboot with a new cast entirely. The message was clear. People were angry, and Bella was the scapegoat. But even amid the hate, something more dangerous started to appear. Evidence that Bella had seen it all. People noticed that Bella had gone quiet on social media. No new posts, no engagement, no responses, just silence. And then, one cryptic message appeared on her Instagram story. Imagine pouring your soul into something just to watch it get erased. That single sentence was enough to spark a second wave of chaos. Fans began dissecting it line by line. Was it aimed at HBO? Was it her resignation? Her breakdown? And then came the interview, the one that changed everything. It wasn't a press event. It wasn't a red carpet. It was an online live stream, scheduled quietly and with little fanfare. Bella joined a small UK-based podcast known for deep emotional interviews. No makeup team, no handlers, just Bella, looking exhausted. And within minutes, it became clear she wasn't just doing damage control, she was cracking under pressure. The host asked cautiously, "What's your headspace like these days? Especially with everything that's been happening around The Last of Us?" Bella paused. You could hear the air go still. "I feel like everything I gave just got ripped apart," she said. "And the worst part? I wasn't even told. I found out with everyone else. I opened my app, searched the title, and nothing, just gone." Her voice trembled, her eyes watered, but she kept going. "No one told me, no warning. I gave my everything to that role. I trained, I cried, I broke myself for that character, and now it's like I never existed." It wasn't an angry insult. It was raw, vulnerable. You could tell this wasn't media coaching. It was real. Bella wasn't lashing out. She was unraveling. She even addressed the criticism directly. "People say I ruined the show, but I followed the script. I trusted the vision. If that wasn't enough, then maybe I wasn't enough." The live stream went viral within minutes. Clips spread across TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thousands of fans rallied in support, flooding the comments with love and encouragement. But for every kind word, there was another cruel one waiting to strike. Some people accused her of playing victim. Others said the tears were fake. One tweet that gained tens of thousands of likes simply read, "Good actress? She finally proved it. Too little? Too late?" Still, one thing was certain. Bella's breakdown wasn't just personal. It had become public. And with no official word from HBO, every emotion she showed became part of the story, part of the speculation. But behind all the noise, a darker question began to surface. Was this HBO's plan all along? Stay silent, let the internet do the dirty work, and walk away without ever taking responsibility. And if that was true, what came next would change everything. The most chilling part of this entire saga wasn't the fan backlash. It wasn't even Bella's breakdown. It was what HBO didn't do. No tweet, no article, no formal announcement, just silence. And for a billion-dollar entertainment empire, silence like that is never accidental. It's strategic, deliberate, and potentially devastating. Media analysts began to weigh in. One industry insider claimed the removal of The Last of Us was a quiet exit strategy, HBO's attempt to dissolve a PR crisis without fueling it. Think about it. No official removal means no headlines. No headlines means no public apology. And no apology? That means no accountability. It wasn't the first time either. In recent years, HBO had quietly removed shows that underperformed or sparked controversy. Westworld was taken off the platform with no fanfare, despite massive early investment. Another show, Raised by Wolves, vanished without so much as a farewell post. This was becoming a pattern. But The Last of Us was different. This wasn't a small experimental series. This was their flagship show, their answer to The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. It had critical acclaim, mainstream appeal, and millions of fans. So to remove it without warning suggested something deeper, something they didn't want to admit publicly. And what about the cast? Insiders reported that even some actors and crew weren't informed until the public found out. One anonymous source stated it was like the show never existed. Contracts paused, emails stopped. Bella was ghosted. Let that sink in. The very platform that built Bella Ramsey up, that showcased her rise as Ellie, just deleted her performance from its history. Not with a statement, not with an explanation, but with silence. This wasn't just about viewership numbers anymore. This was about damage control, reputation management, and cutting ties without cutting checks. And in the court of public opinion, HBO's silence wasn't neutral. It was deafening. It felt like a quiet confession. And in that vacuum, the internet filled in the blanks with rumors, theories, and rage. But that wasn't the whole story. If HBO thought going silent would cool things down, they couldn't have been more wrong. Because once Bella's emotional live stream hit the internet, once fans saw her break on camera, everything exploded again. Except this time, it wasn't just hate. This time, it was war. On one side, you had Bella's supporters, loyal fans, critics, celebrities, fellow actors. They rallied fast, pushing the hashtag number Justice for Bella into global trending territory. Comment sections were flooded with love. She didn't fail the role. The industry failed her. Don't let HBO erase what she built. Bella is Ellie. Period fan edits began circulating. Montages of her best scenes, emotional reactions, behind-the-scenes clips that showed her dedication. People were reminded just how hard she worked to carry the show's emotional weight. But on the flip side, the hate didn't stop. If anything, it mutated. Roasts doubled down. Conspiracy videos popped up on YouTube suggesting Bella had sabotaged the show on purpose. One clip, viewed over 3 million times, accused her of going rogue on set and ignoring direction. Another claimed she disrespected the game's legacy and alienated original fans. The internet became a battlefield, and Bella was in the crossfire. Some fans took things even further, digging up old interviews, looking for any moment where Bella might have gone off script or clashed with the vision. One resurfaced clip from Season 1 press junkets showed her laughing while admitting, "I didn't actually finish the game." That soundbite became weaponized, shared, twisted, used to justify the hate. She didn't care about the source material. She never respected the fans. This was inevitable, but in truth, none of this was about a single line or scene. It wasn't about gaming loyalty or performance flaws. It was about something much bigger. A show collapsing under the weight of fan expectations, corporate coldness, and the savage pressure of online scrutiny. Bella wasn't just a name in the credits anymore. She had become a symbol of success turned sour, of talent devoured by savage fandom, and of what happens when a streaming giant quietly decides you're not worth defending. And just when it seemed like the internet had chosen sides, HBO made one final move that would turn speculation into certainty. The rumors didn't stop with Bella. Once it was clear The Last of Us had been removed and Bella had effectively been hung out to dry, attention turned to what HBO planned to do next, and the possibilities were just as shocking as the removal itself. Insider forums buzzed with talk that HBO was quietly shopping the IP, not canceling it but looking to sell. Warner Brothers, allegedly under pressure from shareholders and upper execs, had lost faith in the franchise's long-term value. With audience trust fractured and backlash spreading fast, continuing with Bella? Too risky. Continuing without her? Even worse. The brand had become controlling. A few whispers suggested Amazon was interested in a licensing deal. Netflix, too. One supposed leak said Netflix had expressed interest in reimagining the show with a fresh cast and creative reset. Another mentioned internal discussions about turning the story into an animated project. Cheaper, safer, easier to reboot. Then there were the recast theories. Names like Florence Pugh and Sadie Sink started trending. Not because they were confirmed, but because fans were demanding them. Fan art, eye mock-ups, speculative trailers. Everyone had an opinion on who should replace Bella, as if her exit was already sealed, as if she'd been erased not just from the show, but from the conversation. Even worse, casting calls started circulating. An unverified but eerily specific casting notice made the rounds online, describing a gritty, emotionally complex teenage girl character with leadership potential, must be able to handle intense action scenes and deep trauma. Sound familiar? HBO never confirmed it, but they never denied it either. And Bella? She remained offline. No more live streams, no more stories, just silence. It felt like the final act was already in motion, and the people who once lifted her up were now rewriting the script without her. In Hollywood, careers rise and fall every day. But what happened to Bella Ramsey wasn't just a fall, it was a freefall, launched by a perfect storm of backlash, boardroom decisions, and the savage spotlight of internet culture. One season ago, she was the breakout star, the Emmy buzz, the interview darling, the perfect Ellie, fans said. And now, the very platform that crowned her had scrubbed her existence clean. No credits, no show, no legacy. We may never get an official answer from HBO. There may never be a press conference, a statement, or an apology. Because in today's media landscape, silence is the strategy. Quiet removals, no accountability. Just vanish the problem and move on. But for Bella, the story isn't over. It's just changed shape. Her breakdown wasn't weakness. It was humanity. And in a world this cold, that's rare. Whether she returns stronger or disappears for good, one thing's certain. Bella Ramsey didn't ruin The Last of Us. She became its most painful casualty. And as for the show's future, maybe it gets rebooted. Maybe it disappears forever. But either way, the damage is done. And this time, it wasn't caused by cordyceps. It was something far more viral.